Welcome to the CouchScouts podcast. We provide league-winning analysis, advice, and tools to help you dominate your league and build a dynasty. Scout, draft, win. Here's your host, Matt Cooper.
Welcome to the CouchScouts podcast. I am your host, Matt Cooper. With me tonight is my co-host, Matt Jackson.
What's going on, man?
You said man instead of guys because Rupert's not here. Sad
Yeah, I know. I
night.
literally thought whenever you were doing your intro, I was like, what do I have to say? Because I can't say guys, because then who's the guys?
I mean, the
was like-
listeners are the guys.
Yeah, it was a whole
listeners-
conversation I had while our intro was running, Cooper. It was a whole conversation I was having in my head.
Well, best wishes to Rupert, who is on a family trip right now, I believe. So, yeah, hope he enjoys it and it's a restful time. But we're going to have a good show without him. And on today's show, we are going to get into some Week 8 discussion. We're going to break down some takeaways from the week and then play a little game of Would You Rather based on some of the top performers in fantasy at this point in the season. So, let's get into some Week 8 questions to discuss. As always, there's no shortage of things to talk about here. First conversation, and this has come up a number of times already in our Discord. RJ Harvey seemed like the big winner with 3 touchdowns. Will this breakout, if you want to call it that, I guess, is it a breakout is part of the question. And is it changing things for the future, or was it just a one and done thing? I'll throw it to you, Jackson.
Yeah, so I went back and watched this entire game because anytime somebody scores 3 touchdowns, you're like, okay, I want to dive into the film and see what was going on for this game. So I went back and I watched the film, and in watching it, he was used primarily around the goal line. So if you watch it, his first touchdown run was a good bit out. It was between the 20s. It looked good. He followed his blocks well. He had a really nice dead leg, one cut up the field, and scored a pretty nice touchdown. But then you watch the other two. One was a direct snap to him within like the 5-yard line. And the other one was a little shovel pass, not shovel pass, but just like a clear out pass out of the backfield as he was running across the field. A lot of his work right now is totally dependent on goal lines. Like J.K. Dobbins is still getting a lot of the work between the 20s, and he's looking good doing it. So I know R.J. Harvey didn't get a lot of touches. I think he's going to be more of a boom or bust type of guy where, like, if you have in a best ball league, yeah, like he's going to have weeks like this just because they like to use him in the goal line. But I don't know if you would necessarily call this a breakout. I mean, would you?
Well, so you mentioned like it was a 40-yard touchdown run, and it was a nice run, but he went untouched. Like the blocking. So, I mean, we've talked about this before a few weeks ago when Rico Dowdle went for 200 plus against the Cowboys, and we're like, but it's the Cowboys. And the Panthers' offensive line is just driving that D line back every time, and he's got huge lanes to run through. And that's what this run looked like for Harvey. I'm not trying to discredit him. It's just really like the offensive line got the job done, and kudos to him for having the vision to find the lane and get to the end zone. And he showed athleticism, which we know he has. So not knocking him. It's just, but outside of that run, like he had 7 carries for 46 yards, and 40 of them came on that run.
Yeah.
And it's hard to make a living on 8 touches. 8 touches. I initially thought, this is a blowout game. Did most of these 8 touches come in mop-up duty? But they actually were spread out. His snaps were spread out pretty evenly throughout the game. So he's not just coming in for mop-up duty. He had a role as a change of pace to Dobbins. That being said, like Dobbins was also still really good in this game. Dobbins had, I believe it was 15 carries for it was over 100 yards, like 7 point something yards a carry. I should have had the numbers pulled up, but I don't currently have them in front of me. But it was a nice game. He didn't find the end zone, and Harvey did 3 times. So like
111 yards, 7.4 a carry.
Yeah, 111 yards on 15 touches is pretty good. Like, he's still seeing the vast majority of the snaps and the carries, and he's still playing really well, and the team's getting the job done with him as the lead back. Like, there's zero reason for the Broncos to make a change here.
Yeah.
And, I think the encouraging thing is for Harvey owners that when he has gotten the opportunity, he's done some things with his touches. A couple weeks ago, he came in a big blowout and he got some mop up duty and he looked good and he put up fantasy numbers. And then again in this one, like, he gets some touches and he looked good and he put up some fantasy numbers. So, do I trust him to put him in my lineup the rest of this season, barring a Dobbins injury? No, not unless I'm really desperate and I got to throw him in a flex spot because people are hurt or whatever. Like, trust me, I got some leagues where I started worse people
Yeah.
this week,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't feel good about it. I wouldn't feel excited to put him in my starting lineup if I have aspirations to contend. And he's
if you're putting him in your starting lineup right now, like, that's not a league that you're looking to win. Like,
I mean, maybe you had Bipocalypse, but it better be a 1 week occurrence. You better not be regularly counting on him. But I mean, all jokes aside, like, he's shown enough flashes with his limited work for me to think that he can produce when he gets the opportunity. Like, if Dobbins wasn't there, if Dobbins went down, if Harvey got the lead role going into next year, he probably would produce from a fantasy standpoint. I think he's a talented player. Um, I think people are gonna go crazy with his price this offseason, because I think, it reminds me of rookie year Javonte Williams, and he's splitting with Melvin Gordon, and Melvin Gordon's kind of the lead back, but Dobbins or Javonte did enough with those limited rookie year touches. Like, he just showed those tantalizing flashes to the point where in that offseason between first and second year, everybody just assumed, okay, Melvin Gordon's gone, Javonte's the guy. And they boosted Javonte straight up to like a top 5 dynasty running back, even though his rookie year finish was like RB 40 something, I think, right? Like, so this reminds me so much of that. And I thought, wow, like, RB5 in dynasty, that's kind of crazy. And then the team actually did end up re-signing Melvin Gordon. And so you're going into year 2, like, it's a committee. Like, he was a top 5 dynasty running back, and here's Melvin Gordon right back to spoil the show again. And I could totally see that happening with Dobbins too, by the way, where they bring him back because he's cheap and he's getting the job done. So
I just feel like we're gonna play the same game with him that we played in our rookie drafts, right? Like, we're like, we don't hate the player, but we sure don't care for the value, and that's gonna be the game we
mhm,
play in the offseason as well.
right. I mean, he's 24 now. He's turning 25 in February. And so he's going to be a 25. Like, that's the big difference too with Javonte is Javonte was 21 when all this was happening. Like, RJ Harvey's going to be 25. That's isn't Javonte 25 like right now?
I think
Like,
so. Yeah,
is
I think
RJ Harvey
so.
older than Javonte Williams? Um, so that's a significant difference there. Like, we went through a similar thing with Tajay Spears, where right after his rookie year, everybody just assumed like they're gonna move on from Derrick Henry and Tajay Spears is gonna be the guy, and da 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 da. Well, then they bring in Tony Pollard. So we're so quick to make these assumptions, and I would just be careful. If you see this offseason Harvey's value shoot up to these crazy high, like, top 10 dynasty running back numbers, I would be wary of that. I would probably not buy that. I would strongly consider selling that if and when it happens. I think it will happen. So I think it's worth having a conversation about now because I think that's where we're headed this offseason with RJ Harvey.
Fun fact: Javonte Williams is 10 months older than RJ Harvey. A whole 10
Yeah.
months.
Yeah. It's wild because it feels like Javonte's been in the league for forever now. But all right, we really aren't haters. I think, like, if he had come in this year and Dobbins had not been a thing, they had not signed him, and he had been the lead back, I think he could have maybe paid off that first round ADP that people paid for him. Uh, but I mean, that's a lot of if games, right? So I don't know. I think at his age, that was my main concern with him at the first round cost is like if he doesn't produce right away this year, where does that leave him from a dynasty perspective? And I think barring injury, the rest of this year, like this is probably this 3 touchdown on 8 touches is probably his high water mark for the season.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's just not repeatable. So
Yeah.
let's move on. Uh Man, this is a sad I don't even wanna read it, but, with Cam Skattebo going down for the season, rest in peace, Cam Skattebo. He's not dead, but, we're very sad.
Yeah.
Is there any value in Tyrone Tracy?
Yeah, no, I mean, first off, that ankle injury was absolutely gruesome. A man's foot should not turn that direction. So that was
I
just
haven't seen
so.
it, and I'm not going to.
No, you don't look it up. It's horrible. I saw it by accident, and I wish I hadn't have. But topic of conversation is Tyrone Tracy, and what I wrote down was I would sure hope so, right? Um, with Dart and that offense, like that offense is much more explosive. It was really fun, honestly, watching Dart and Scatabo do their thing. That offense is much more capable than even they were last year, right? With Tyrone Tracy taking all the touches. And Tyrone Tracy, he's not necessarily a bad runner, right? I'm not going to call him a bad runner, but before Scatabo came in for that larger role, right? Tracy was RB 39, RB 34, and RB 45, according to Sleeper. So I'm not overly confident that he can come in and set the world on fire, but I'm hopeful, right? I mean, there's nobody really else on that roster. The offense looks good, and we've seen him do it before, but I'm a little skeptical because of where he was earlier on in the season.
Yeah, earlier on in the season, but I think you gotta remember that it was a three-way committee. Like, Scatterbo hadn't taken over as the lead back, but he was involved, and, Devin Singletary was getting some touches too, and the offense as a whole was just completely anemic with Russell Wilson for the most part. I mean, he had that one magical game against the Cowboys because the Cowboys don't play defense.
Yeah.
Um, and aside from that, Russell Wilson, when the Giants had him leading the way, they were bad. And I'm more interested in looking at last year with a much bigger sample size of Tracy as the lead back. And he took over as the lead back in week 5 last season. And from week 5 on, he was RB 14. And he averaged nearly 14 fantasy points a game. Like, does that have any value? Yeah, I would say that would have some value. I would like 14 fantasy points a game in some of my lineups. Um, so I would assume that he's a usable fantasy starter for the rest of the season. And I would guess you could get him for relatively cheap. I don't know what people are asking for him right now. But I just feel like, you got to view him as a rental. Scattaboo showed way too much to not get the job when he's healthy.
Yeah.
And the team just loved him, like even from a culture standpoint, like he became the
Yeah.
personality along with Dart for that whole team. So like Tracy, it's a short-term rental, but you at least have him for the rest of the season. And if I don't know that I could spend a late second for a rental like that. I don't it's I would consider it, but like can you get him for 2/3 or like, what could you get him for? What would you spend for him? I think is the question, but I think he is gonna give you some useful production for the rest of the season, and, and then the bigger question is what do you do with Scatterbo? That's been a question in our Discord really all week. People have been chatting about it, and has his value dropped at all? Is he a buy low candidate? You got a day 3 pick who's got this really serious injury who may not be ready to start next year either. So there's a lot of risk involved in taking on an asset like that, but obviously we love the talent. Can he get right? He's not a guy that really depended on athleticism a ton anyway. So there's a lot of like discussion to be had, I think, around what to do with Cam Scattaboo right now. And I'm curious where you land on that.
Yeah, I want to start with the Tracy because I've got him in a few lineups where I'm just not competing right now. And like as a Tracy owner, like 2 or 3 leagues, like I would sell him for 2/3. I don't think I would need a late second to sell him. I would sell him, I think, for 2/3. So to answer that question, that's kind of what I would be looking for right now. Skydabu, like to me, yes, he's a day 3 guy, but that almost is less important to me. I don't know where you are with it. That's less important to me because I saw what he was in college. I saw the tape. We trusted the tape, and then we saw that translate to the NFL level. So that's a lot of pluses going in his direction. Like it's always going to be the question all offseason. He's going to rehab from this injury because I mean I'm telling you his ankle was horrific. But if he can recover, like I I don't know that I'm selling Cam Scatterbo, and that might just be arrogance on my part, but I've got him in so many leagues, and the leagues that I don't have him, like I would probably look to buy, just because he's already done it. The team loves him. The team trusts him. He's shown out before the injury. Like that's a lot of good things going for him.
I think the further that he's out of sight, out of mind, the more his price will drop. Like we've seen that over and over and over again. Initially, everybody's like, he'll be back. I'm not really dropping the price on him." And then like the longer they have to wait and the more they need production and whatever, like the price goes down. So if I was looking to buy Scattaboo, I wouldn't do it now. I'd wait a little bit. I just pulled him up on Keep Trade Cut. Some of the value adjacents to him is Tucker Craft, Brock Purdy, 2028 early first, AJ Brown, Daniel Jones, Travis Hunter. So like he's not
That's all
cheap
that
right
that
now.
that's all high right now. That's not a cheap
That's yeah,
price.
that's that we haven't really seen a dip yet if that's where he's at. I don't think I could send the maybe AJ Brown. Like if I'm on a non-contender and I can flip AJ Brown for Cam Scattaboo, I would at least consider it, but I'd probably be asking for a plus on top.
Yeah.
Now that AJ Brown has started to look like his usual self. But I mean, he's just 28. You should get 2 to 3 good more years out of AJ Brown. It's not like you're trading somebody a 1 year rental. And again, you are taking on a lot of risk back. Like as much as I love Cam Scattaboo, day 3 picks already don't have any job security. You add this element in with like when is he going to get healthy? Is he going to be fully back to who he was? But is it going to take multiple years? Because sometimes we see a guy's back on the field, but he doesn't look like his old self. It's like Javante is just now starting to look like his old self from an injury that happened like 3 years ago. So, as much as I love Cam Scattaboo, yeah, in this range, I would say he was a sell, but I don't think anybody's actually sending you these prices for him.
No. If
So I
I've got
think
Tucker, we're gonna talk about Tucker Craft in a minute. But if I have Tucker Craft, I'm not sending him straight up for Cam Scatterbo right now. Like it's not happening.
Yeah, so like I don't think you're getting these things. I don't think they're realistic. And at the same time, like if you're trying to buy him, like I don't think you're getting him way cheaper than this yet. So I think right now, realistically, he's probably gonna stay on most of the rosters that he's on, unless that owner's really panicked, and I guess it's worth a try. We had somebody in our Discord. I wish this was true in my league. Somebody in our Discord said, um, "Hey, uh, I'll send you J.K. Dobbins for Cam Scattaboo because the guy was a contender that had Scattaboo on his roster, and he said I'm really thinking about it." Like, man, like if I could get that done in my leagues, I would smash that. But Keep Trade Cut is saying that that's nowhere near realistic. That's just one guy in one league. So it's always worth inquiring and seeing how panicked the manager is. But I would say if he is a buy, it's going to have to be a little while. You're going to have to be patient, wait, and then when the price dips, then you buy.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right, we're 20 minutes in. We've covered 2 questions. um, good. It's good discussion. But let's move on. This week, Lad McConkey received a whopping 40% target share, 28% the week prior. Is Ladd starting to regain his role as wide receiver 1 on the team? And were the worries for nothing? For me, I'll start this one. Yes, he's starting to regain the role if he ever even lost it. I'm not sure he ever lost the role, to be honest. Like even early in the season when he wasn't producing from a yardage and touchdown standpoint, he only had less than 6 targets once. Like he's been getting targets all year. Yes, it's ramped up to where now you're seeing games like 12 targets, 15 targets, but he's been playing a heavy snap share all year, 90% roughly of the snaps, basically, from the very beginning. So I think he's been the wide receiver one. It just some weeks it's going to lead to yards and touchdowns, and some weeks it's not, particularly when there's that many mouths in the offense. And he had some fluky down weeks to start the year, and people panicked. And I'm just sad I didn't buy the dip, honestly. The strange thing to me is Johnston's role, Quentin Johnston. I mean, it seems like it
Agreed.
changed
Yeah.
almost out of nowhere overnight. He had low targets and low production in weeks 5 and 7, but he was still on the field for like a huge percentage of the snaps, was hurt for week 6. But still, like it's 89% snaps week 7, dropped to 52% in week 8. Meanwhile, Trey Harris jumped to 59% and caught a touchdown. So like Trey Harris seems like he's overtaken Quentin Johnston almost out of nowhere. I would never have seen this coming with the way that QJ was looking and producing early in the season. I would never have seen this coming. But like, Keenan should still be really involved. Gadsden is ascending. So even with QJ falling out of favor, like that doesn't really help Ladd. Like the moral of the story is it's still a lot of mouths to feed. It's still going to be a bit of a roller coaster week to week, but Ladd is the guy I trust the most and is the dynasty asset that I still think is a stud long term.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about that today, and I was like, I wonder how much of what happened to Quentin Johnston is because, like, is directly correlated to the ascendance of Aronde Gadsden, right? I mean, like, he started really coming to the forefront of that offense. So, like, I wonder if because of that, Quentin Johnston is taking a step back. I would agree with you. Like, I'm not sure that Ladd McConkey ever lost it. I think a lot of it came down to Herbert spreading the ball around and riding the hot hand. And for several weeks there, Quentin Johnston was the hot hand. Right now, I mean, now, I mean, I think the guys to own that offense, obviously, Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen has looked just phenomenal since coming back to the Chargers, and
Yep.
Aronde Gadsden looks incredible. So, I mean, for me, those are the 3 guys that I want for the rest of the season. But I think, if anything, this just goes to show you that like this offense is going to be so high flying the rest of the season, and like I don't know. I should have looked. I don't know where Justin Herbert is sitting at a points per game basis right now, but he's got to finish near the top. Like he has to. This offense is just going to spread the ball around a lot. It's going to be frustrating, but Justin Herbert might have a career year.
Yeah, currently Justin Herbert, well, Fantasy Pros locked me out. I've got to sign in. But yeah, currently Justin Herbert is, at least from what I could see before it locked me out, he was not in the top 8. Let me pull it up real quick. He is QB 12 on a total points basis, and on a per game, he's QB 10. So, and he's averaging quite a few fantasy points a game.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so yeah, he's having a good year for sure, and I think definitely will continue to have a good year because he has a lot of really good weapons and he's a super talented player. Yeah, the Johnston thing is interesting because like I get what you're saying with like the ascension of Gadsden, but also like
I mean, I get what you're saying too because it happened overnight. Like it came out of nowhere.
yeah, but like okay, so if QJ was still out there playing 90% of the snaps and it was just like okay, Gadsden's getting his targets now, that would
Yeah.
make sense.
Yeah.
But the drop down to 52% snaps and Trey Harris out snapping him, that's what is the most surprising. It's like he was playing so well. Like is Trey Harris just that good?
I mean,
Or did
it makes you
QJ
think that
like
did something
get
happen in
doghouse?
practice?
Yeah, I don't know.
Something happened in practice or behind the scenes that we just don't know about.
Yeah. All right, well, let's keep going. So Jalen Knoll had a nice breakout game this week. Injuries sidelined some key players, which obviously increased his opportunity. Will he continue to claim that wide receiver 2 spot for the coming weeks? I'll throw it to you first.
Yeah, so this offseason, we talked about this exact same situation, right? When we did our breakdown of the NFL draft, and we were like, okay, they drafted Jaden Higgins, they drafted Jalen Noel, you still have Nico Collins, you have Christian Kirk on the roster. Like, what is this wide receiver core going to look like for the season? And I think what we decided on, and you could go back and find that, but what we decided on was if there was going to be anyone that was going to step into a more defined role between Higgins and Noel, at least short term, it was going to be Jalen Noel, right?
Right.
And now he's had a great opportunity with Nico and Kirk both being sidelined. Like he's had his time to shine, and he's done really well with it the last 2 weeks. I think at this point, Cooper, and you can speak to this a little bit. I think at this point, we know what Christian Kirk is, right? Like you've got this famous saying that I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to get put on a shirt of ours, but like when somebody shows you who they are, like believe them, right? Like we know at this point who Christian
I
Kirk.
don't think I came up with that, but I sure like saying it.
Yeah, at this point, we know who he is. Like I don't see a path where Noel gives that job back, even if Christian Kirk does come back healthy next week. I think that he's got that wide receiver 2 spot locked down. I mean, obviously Nico Collins is still the guy, but I think Noel's going to look good for the rest of the season. At least he has the last few weeks, and I look for that to continue.
Yeah, before I start talking Jalen Noel, I'll give a slight correction. This is what happens when you're trying to pull stats up on the fly. I had 2024 stats pulled up when I said Justin Herbert was QB 12. He's actually QB 4 on total points, and if you go to average points, Justin Herbert is QB 6.
Okay,
Um,
that makes
so
a lot more sense.
yeah, he's having a great year. He's 21 fantasy points per game right now. So um, really, all the guys in front of him are studs too, like Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Drake May, Jalen Hurts. Like these guys are all high first round startup picks. So um, yes, just wanted to provide a correction on that. But as far as Jalen Noel goes, I will give just a little bit more of a cautionary stance here, and I agree with you. I think stylistically he complements Nico a lot better than Jaden Higgins does. I think he's more talented and younger and the long-term guy for them for sure, as far as between him and Christian Kirk. And I think is a very real possibility, like you said, that he doesn't give that role back to Christian Kirk. So he has back-to-back weeks with 6+ targets. That's great. It's an encouraging sign for the people who have been patient with him after he showed nothing early on. Still, though, right now the Texans are spreading the ball around a ton. Like, we mentioned Higgins and Nico. We haven't mentioned Xavier Hutchinson, who's pretty involved week in and week out. So they had 4 different wide receivers this week with at least 4 targets, and then Marks had 5 targets, but nobody had more than 6 targets. So it was just like really diluted to the point where if it's going to be like that, like if Nico's going to come back and Kirk's going to come back and Higgins is going to be involved and Hutchinson's going to be involved and Noel's going to be involved, I think it's just going to be frustrating all around. Um, and this offense, they've had their ups and downs, but it's still problematic in some ways. Like they don't
Yeah,
have a great rushing game. Their O line is pretty bad. So against good defenses, I think they get exposed, and you see this whole offense just disappear for certain weeks. Stroud has a bad game, and all the wide receivers have a bad game, and so just like long term, I'm glad to see Noel flashing what we saw on his college tape. Now that he's been given the opportunity, he's like, what we saw on film is translating. That's great. I love that. Short term, hard to trust anybody in this wide receiver room,
yeah,
except I guess Nico when he's healthy. I still trust Nico to an extent, but yeah, yep.
yeah.
All right, go ahead.
I was just saying, even Nico's. I mean, this season's been falling too. I mean, he was a what 2nd round startup pick, and I
Yeah,
don't know if he's a second. He's not that anymore.
he hasn't performed to that level, and he's not the youngest guy in the world either. I mean, he's a guy that we said sell pretty much all offseason at the prices that he was at. But yeah, on a per game basis, by the way, Rashee Rice, number 1 on a per game basis, 24 fantasy points a game. Small sample, but he's balling. But on a per game basis, where do I have to scroll to find Nico? Because per game doesn't even account for the fact that he's been hurt. Like
Injured.
that gets factored out. You're just
Yeah.
looking at per game.
If you got to
Nico's
scroll down that far,
he's wide receiver 30.
if you got to scroll down that far, that's not encouraging.
He's wide receiver 30. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to even, you can trust him like in the sense of putting him in your lineup, but it's hard to trust him as like, I thought this guy was going to be the wide receiver 1 on my fantasy team. I don't trust him for that at this point. So, yeah, good point. All right. The last 3 weeks, DeAndre Swift has finished as RB6, RB6, RB14. What is his value for the rest of the season and beyond?
Yeah, so I think he's a RB2 rest of season. I mean, I think that offense has done exactly what we wanted that offense to do, right? Caleb Williams has come in and looked good. Ben Johnson's been able to do great things with that offense, which is opening up runs a little more. I think beyond this season, though, I don't know how excited I am for DeAndre Swift. I'm not sold that the Bears are completely all in on DeAndre Swift. And right now, we just had arguably one of the best running back classes enter the NFL. So I'm not sure how many teams right now have a big running back need. So I don't know for me where DeAndre Swift fits into that equation of like future years. He's not old, but he's not young either. So like there's a lot of question marks there where like the rest of the season you can start him and start him with confidence. I'm not sure where you go after this season.
Yeah, and I'll give a little plug for our bonus show tonight, just for our members. Behind the paywall, we are going to be doing a little preview of the 2026 class, and there's some good running backs in that class too, especially up at the top. But yeah, I mean, rest of the season, like you said, mid to high end RB2. That offense is much improved. It's creating good touchdown equity for him. Like he's more efficient with his touches, and he's getting a lot of touches. Monangai, in my opinion, is not really a threat to him. But like, so here's the thing: Swift is technically under contract next season, but they can save a lot of money with almost no dead cap by cutting him after this year. So he's basically, I mean, he's not officially a free agent, but he has a very good chance at being one. The Bears were strongly linked to drafting a high-end running back last offseason, and they're likely going to be linked to doing so again. So yeah, I mean, Swift is just 26. He could still land in a good situation, but it's just far from a guarantee. So all right, we still have a game of Would You Rather to play, and those will be pretty quick hitters. But before we do that, I do want to take a quick second to shout out CouchScouts.com. We now have dynasty rankings live on the site. You can filter by which rank set, mine, Jackson's, Rupert's, or you can look at a composite of all 3. You can search for players by their name. You can filter by position, so just look at quarterbacks or running backs, whatever. We're going to be updating that weekly, updating our rankings. So hopefully that's a great resource for you guys. And you can even, go compare our rankings again, pull up ADP from Dynasty Data Labs or something and see. Eventually, I'd love to get it on our site where you could see at a glance, like who we're higher on than ADP, but it's a start. So that's a great new resource for our Armchair GM members. We have our all 22 film room. We're going to have the rookie guide, which we're going to be starting on the rookie guide grind in like a month, which is crazy because we work on that thing from December all the way until April when the draft happens. So really May, because we do a post draft update the week after. So yeah, a lot of good things. Definitely check out CouchScouts.com. I mentioned we've got the bonus show just for our members that we record every single week. So check out our site, subscribe to one of our packages. We definitely appreciate you supporting the channel. And with all that being said, let's get into a quick game of Would You Rather. These will be pretty quick hitters. I'm going to read off two players of similar positions in fantasy points, and we're each going to say who we'd rather have in Dynasty. So first one here for you, Jackson, Saquon Barkley, who is currently RB9 on the season, or James Cook, who is currently RB7 on the season. Who would you rather have in Dynasty? Cook has the edge in rushing yards. They're nearly even on touchdowns. Barkley has 6. Cook has 7. Barkley is notably averaging 3 receptions a game compared to just 2 per game last year, and he has twice the receptions that Cook has, even though Cook is known as being a receiving back. So, which guy would you rather have in Dynasty?
I mean, so I might be a little biased, but for me, it's still Saquon Barkley. But Cook is making that an interesting conversation because between the tackles, he looks amazing. Receptions is where it matters the most for me. We all play in PPR leagues, and backs that catch passes have the edge to me. He's still young enough on a great offense. They're starting to figure it out. I think I still prefer Barkley to Cook right now.
You said he's still young enough, but the problem is I don't know if that's true. He's 28 and going to be 29 before the season is over. That's not young. And
He's still on the right side of 30. He's still doing all right.
I mean, but so I'm like,
No,
okay,
you're
if
right.
I'm
You're right. I agree with you.
we're gonna be quick here. We're not gonna spend a ton of time, but like Cook is 25 and approaching 26, which is very different to me. If you're a contender and you have Cook, are you trading him for Saquon? No, like the production is the same, if not better. If you're a rebuilder, are you trading Cook for Saquon? No, you're not, because Cook is younger. If you're in a startup, are you taking Saquon over Cook? I don't think that you are, because again, the production is almost identical, and Cook is a good bit younger. So for me, I'm taking James Cook at this point in Dynasty over Saquon. And when I look at my rankings, they're not that far apart. I've got Cook at 43 and Saquon at 51 in my Dynasty rankings. So, which may be a little too low on both of them, but I'll look at that later. All right. Brees Hall, RB12, or Kyron Williams, RB13. Despite having only 10 more carries, Hall has 109 more yards than Williams, and they're nearly dead even on receptions, but Kyron has 3 receiving touchdowns.
Yeah, it was nice, by the way, to finally see Brees Hall score his first touchdown. So I know a lot of fantasy owners were looking for that. Give me Brees Hall for that. I think that the Kyron situation with Matt Stafford, is he going to play another year? Is he not? What's that offense going to look like? That scares me a little bit, and I think that Brees is the better player. So give me Brees.
Yeah, I agree with you. I believe in the talent more with Brees. You know, I like that Kyron Williams has a contract extension locked down, and Brees, I believe, doesn't yet. But like honestly, Brees is so talented that if he moved teams, it might actually be better for him. I'm not worried about him getting a second contract somewhere. He's a stud, and I think at times the Jets have completely misused him. But yeah, he's still producing RB12 in fantasy right now. So Brees Hall for me, and he's got upside to be like in the RB1 conversation
Yeah.
if he was being used, I think, the way that he should and on a good offense. So Rome Odunze, wide receiver 15 currently, or Devontae Smith, who is the wide receiver 10 on the season. Odunze
Roman,
is go ahead.
no, finish your thought.
I was just going to read some stats here. Odunze is averaging 15 and a half points per game. Smith 14.4. From weeks 1 to 3, Odunze had a catchable target rate of 70%. Since then, in weeks 4 to 8, it has dropped to just 52%. So he's Caleb's struggling maybe a little bit right now. In that same span of games, Smith is the wide receiver 12 and points per game with 16.2. So they're trending in different directions. Odunze is kind of seeing a dip from a hot start in the season, and Smith is really exploding after a slow start to the season.
I don't know if you feel the same way. This doesn't feel like a hard question to me. I think it's Roma Dunze all day. He's a younger player. He is on a better offense. He's on an offense that throws the ball better than Devontae Smith is. And I don't know if you can even argue it, but I'm going to say arguably the alpha on his team where Devontae Smith is the wide receiver 2 on his team. So like everything points to Rome Odunze here for me.
Yeah, I was surprised. I haven't fact checked this. I just am assuming that what was put on my show sheet is correct. But when it said he's wide receiver 10, Devontae Smith, I was like, wait, is that really true? Like it doesn't feel like he's the wide receiver 10, but I guess he is. Like I'm looking at it on Fantasy Pros
He's
right
been
now.
getting a lot of points the last few weeks.
Yeah, the last few weeks he's kind of gone off, but like he had some real stinkers at the beginning of the year too. So like I was really surprised by this when I saw it on the show sheet. And hey, props to Devontae for being wide receiver 10. I did not know that. That's great. But yeah, for Dynasty, I would much rather have Rome for basically all the reasons that you mentioned. I've got Rome at 23rd in my Dynasty rankings, and I've got Devontae Smith much lower at 71. So maybe I need to reevaluate Devontae Smith's rankings, but yeah, like you said, that's an easy question. So we'll do a few more. These ones are going to be quick hitters. I'm not going to read the stats. We're not going to talk as much about it. I'm just going to give you the name because we're at 41 minutes. Michael Pittman, currently wide receiver 6, or George Pickens, currently wide receiver 3.
Michael Pittman. I think. I don't know. George Pickens has done well this season. I'm not taking that away from him, but I still think Michael Pittman's the better player.
Yeah. Man, this is probably the hardest one we've done yet. I think I'm going to go Pickens. I think, I was wrong about Pickens. He's young. He's playing really well. He's in a great offense. Yeah, he's got a good little age gap, I think, between him and Pittman. So yeah, I'm gonna go with George Pickens here. Jalen Hurts, currently QB1 in fantasy, or Drake May, currently QB2. Which would you rather have for Dynasty?
Drake May for me by maybe not a landslide, but a good amount, I think. He is a better passer of the football. He still offers you rushing upside. And at some point, the heavy discussion on all the Twitter circles is when do they get rid of this tush push? And once Jalen Hurts starts scoring 15 rushing touchdowns a season, I don't know if he's going to be anywhere close to running to quarterback 1 in fantasy. So for me, it's Drake May.
Yeah, it's close for me because Jalen Hurts is playing really well, and he's done it for a lot longer, and he feels a lot safer and more proven than Drake May. But it's hard to argue with what Drake May is doing at 23 years old. So give me Drake May as well. All right. Last one here. Dallas Goedert, currently the tight end 4 on the season, or Tucker Kraft, currently tight end 5.
Give me Tucker Kraft. His downfield usage, the way Jordan Love just peppers him with targets. I don't know. Tucker Kraft just looks really, really good this year, and I'm having a lot of fun watching him.
Yeah, this isn't super close for me. I think I've got Kraft like 100 spots higher in my dynasty rankings. Goddard's almost 31 years old. He is who he is at this point. And even this week, so he's tight end 4. I get that. He's had a lot of touchdowns. Like he's due for some negative regression there. Like when I pull up Dallas Goddard's numbers, and I'll do this quickly because I know we gotta sign off here. But when I pull up Dallas Goddard's numbers, his season high for receptions is 9. Or no, 9 receptions on 11 targets against, guess who? The Giants, who don't play any defense. How many times does that come up today? Or no. Sorry, the Giants do play defense. Got to give them props.
It's the Cowboys.
It's the Cowboys. His second highest total is 7 targets against the Dallas Cowboys. But like this week, 3 catches, 3 targets, 28 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had a game with only 3 receptions on 9 targets for 19 yards, but he got a touchdown. He had a game with 4 receptions for 37 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, like, Even a game he had 1 reception, but it was for 33 yards, and guess what? A touchdown. So, like, this is not sustainable. Dallas Goedert is who he's always been. He's the 3rd option in that offense. He just happens to be getting really lucky with touchdowns right now. Meanwhile, Kraft is like a young stud who's having a breakout season. Yeah, give me Kraft pretty easily. All right, that's going to do it for the show tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I am definitely looking forward to the bonus show, getting into the 2026 class tonight. So for you guys that are members, we'll see you there. For everybody else, we'll see you next week. Don't forget to leave a 5-star review on whatever platform you're listening on, and definitely join our free community Discord so we can get to know you guys that are listening to the show. Thanks so much, and have a blessed